Welcome to Beans and Breakdowns, a podcast dedicated to bridging the gap between specialty coffee and the heavy music community. On this episode, I'm joined by Duncan Newey, drummer for the band No Cure. So grab a fresh cup of coffee and wake the fuck up! What's going on, caffeinated crew? On the podcast today, joined by Duncan from No Cure, some other bands. We'll chat about that. But how are you doing this morning?
Dude, I'm great. How are you today, man?
I'm good. I woke up and we've had some like really good weather for the fall.
Yeah.
And I woke up this morning and it's like 2 degrees Celsius, which is like 36.
Oh,
So
dang.
I don't know how to dress now.
Yeah, you're in that like awkward phase.
Yeah.
Yesterday was like super like gray, and
Mhm.
today it's perfectly blue. I don't even know what it's like outside, but we have severely bipolar weather over here.
It's kind of desert plains, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more desert than it is anything else. Yeah.
Prairie like scenery scares the shit out of me because you could just be walking like on a straight like patch of land and then there's a canyon.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Whenever you get closer to, I mean, out here, there's quite literally nothing.
Mhm.
But like 40 minutes from me is like the caverns, like Carlsbad Caverns.
Yeah.
It's a trip.
I remember I've done a bunch of work in oh my God, Amarillo.
Yeah.
And you'll just be like driving or walking along and there's prairie dogs just like running around.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. Texas is so crazy because it's so big and it like has, because my wife grew up in Houston. So I'm used to like, that's more like southeast, you know.
An entire different biome.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's insane. But
Different
there's,
biome.
I feel like there's like 4 separate, like every like ecosystem in North America exists in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, dude, definitely. Just because of how big it is.
It's like bigger than like most of Europe.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think I heard that once.
Well, Jamie, could you pull that up for us? Well, what are you drinking? I see you got some coffee over there.
I did a pour over this morning. I haven't done one in probably like 2 months just because of how long I've been gone. And it's usually easier to just go somewhere. But also being in a small town, there's nowhere good. So I wanted to enjoy myself a little bit. It got me out of my funk doing this podcast this morning to just make some more. So
what beans do you have?
it's this company from Lubbock that I used to work for called Monomyth. It's a Ethiopia natural process. I got the bag right here.
Nice.
Pretty sick. It's Ocholo Badeko. I might have butchered that completely,
I
but
couldn't have said it better myself.
dude, white guys and coffee, let's go. No, dude, it's great. I saw it, I don't know how long ago, and my parents or my mom was in town yesterday, and I was like, go get me some because my last bag expired like last week. So
Damn.
got a new one today, and I'm trying it for the first time. It is pretty good. It's got like hints of blueberry and whatnot in it.
I would expect nothing less from a natural Ethiopian to have
Okay.
at least faint blueberry notes. So
Yeah,
sounds great. I wanted to bring on the roaster that I roast for is we have a micro lot that's really good right now from Colombia. It's like a pink bourbon, natural, really crazy passion fruit notes.
Yeah.
And I totally forgot to bring home a bag on Thursday. So I have something from Jungle. It's one of the 18,000 roasters in town.
Yeah.
and it's their Antonio Recinos Alvarado. It's a single origin from Guatemala, natural processed with a 96-hour lactic fermentation.
That sounds crazy as hell.
It's like they're making beer over there. I don't know what they're
Yeah,
doing.
dude, that's wild.
It's got some like mango and like yeah, papaya notes. So pretty similar to what I wanted to have anyway.
Perfect.
But yeah, really good. Did it on my V60. Never fails.
Nice. That's what's up.
Yeah, shout out Jungle. They're really good. I haven't had a coffee from them, and they changed their branding recently, so I like the artwork. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's sweet.
It's
I like
very
that. Very colorful.
very Montreal looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's a style.
Yeah, for sure.
I found it surprising when you said that you had worked in specialty coffee in Lubbock because, as I said, I've been out that way before, and the only thing I could find was like coffee at a kolache shop, I think,
Yeah.
somewhere. So,
Yeah. When was
ha-
the last time you were over that way?
oh man, it was like 2019.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's fair. Um, I had worked. It wasn't like for the longest time ever, but it was my last job before I started touring full time. Just because before that, I was working a job that made me want to kill myself, and all my
Mhm.
like close friends were working over at this shop, and I was like, dude, I don't care if I'm getting paid less or paid less. Just put me somewhere where I'm not gonna uh, end it all,
Yeah,
pretty much. And yeah, it worked out. I worked there for a good little bit. Monomyth is a newer shop. Probably, I think they started around like 19, if I'm not mistaken. But
okay.
yeah,
Because I feel like I've talked to people from that area within the past couple of years, but maybe they weren't so much coffee people.
okay, sure.
But like I'd heard that there was a shop that would also do shows at one point.
In
Maybe
in West Texas.
yeah, like in the Lubbock area. I can't remember if it was Marcus from that Crafting the Conspiracy band had mentioned,
Yeah, yeah,
but that was very long ago that I talked to him.
yeah. I love that guy. I haven't talked to him in a while. He's cool.
Nice guy.
Dude, one of the nicest guys actually. I
Uh,
one of my first bands ever. I don't know if Marcus was in that band, but at the time, but like one of my first bands ever when I was like maybe 13 or 14, played with them like once in Austin of all places, like way far away from home. And I was like, I didn't even know there were other bands like from my area. That's crazy. So yeah, all of
that
my bands have played shows with his band at least once before, which is cool. Except for No Cure, I think.
they've I feel like they've grinded for so long and are still so slept on. Like they're definitely a musicians band,
Yeah, definitely. And they're all just great people too. They're cool.
but he
Every time
was
every time I'm in the area, Marcus like comes out and I'll just like it, sometimes I feel bad just because like I don't do it just to him. I'm like so like notoriously bad at just like spending time in one spot, especially if like I'm at a show that I'm playing because I have like A, B, C, D to go do. And so
Mhm.
like I like try to like if I'm seeing an old friend like that, I want to like at least spend like 5-10 minutes of like undivided attention just chilling with them. And like I love seeing him anytime he comes out. He's cool.
Yeah, that I was surprised whenever I found that band. I'm like, there's bands from Lubbock because last time
Yeah. Yeah.
whenever I worked in Midland, I was talking to some clearly metalhead kids that were like working the gig with me.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Are y'all in a band? Where do y'all play? Who's out here?" And they were like, "Honestly, there's like nothing out here." So
Fair. Was that also 2019?
yeah, which I found was surprising because Judiciary was from there at that time.
Yeah, Judiciary was Lubbock around 2019. The spot at the time was called the Cactus House, and there was like somewhat of a pretty decent scene. It sort of fizzled out like after COVID, like obviously for like that's just like how every small venue. I feel like you either like completely sunk or you prevailed pretty good. But
Hmm.
the guys at Cactus House, they're all still pretty active and whatnot. But that was the spot in like 2019. A lot of my bands played there.
It's weird, like a lot of, especially bigger cities, the scene after COVID got enormous. Like it exploded.
Yeah, yeah, that's how it is in Lubbock right now for sure.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was also like small town, because even in Savannah, I've talked to people where they're like, there's new people that I've never seen before.
Oh, dude, definitely, absolutely. I mean, I think it's just everybody got bored and they resorted to TikTok, and there was a lot of content creators talking about this style of music through TikTok. Like I talk to maybe like one or two kids every time I'm at a show in Lubbock, and they're like, oh, "We discovered this band through this band that we discovered through TikTok," and I'm like, "What the fuck? That's so crazy to me." But I mean, like, it's cool. It's super cool that like that's the new reality, I guess.
Yeah, it's extremely interesting because there's like a whole scene here in Montreal that is a bunch of bands that have like no background in hardcore or anything, and they just found heavy music on TikTok. So they'll play like they're not necessarily a hardcore band, but then they'll cover like a Tsunami song.
Yeah,
And I'm like, okay,
because that's
like
all they know. That's
yeah.
so cool to me.
So, but
Wild.
they're too young to go to a lot of shows because all of the venues are 18 up.
Yeah,
So they're trying to do their own shit, but they can't go to like real. It sucks, but we're trying to like figure out a solution to that issue.
yeah, yeah. We don't. The problem with Lubbock is we don't have enough venues.
Ah,
So like we got one that is allegedly like I think it's like a 450 cap,
okay.
but it's not. It's just 450 because of like fire code, like the sprinkler system.
Hmm.
It's definitely like 1,000 cap room or
That's
something like that.
crazy.
And so like my ass does not want to bring my 2,000 monthly listener friends band to go play this room to like, even if it like it feel if it's like full, like it doesn't feel full, you
Right.
know. So like we're just like always like scraping by looking for like new spots to do like a show. Like we had a skate park for a little bit, like literally like half pipe. Went to shit for a little bit. We might do some more there, but I mean, currently we're at like an art studio.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's super sick. The dude who does the shows there, uh he's in hardcore as well. And so he's been super friendly. He's great. We got a cool team like trying to do some shit right now.
That's all it
So
takes.
yeah, it just takes a few guys straight up.
The I feel like the more cooks you get in, the more complicated it can get. So
Sure. I mean, yeah. And it's nice that like I'm gone a lot. So, but like uh I play in a band with one of the dudes who like helps book shows a lot. His name's Ian. And then our boy Jonah, who probably more than anybody, like he has grinded the hardest for all of us to like build something again.
mhm.
And like he's awesome. He puts in the work, and like we're seeing it like grow because of him, I think, in my personal opinion. Like he's putting in the work, and anytime I just want to help however I can whenever I'm gone. So most of the time I'm like doing flyer work,
Mhm.
and like I'm not gonna bitch and complain about it because I want to scout out friends like whenever I'm out to like be like, yo, Lubbock's sick. You should come play here. So like more kids there will stop playing like like indie music in like people's living rooms and like be more exposed to like the cool shit,
Right.
you know. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Well, shout out to DIY and making shit happen. That's dope.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, sir.
What was the best? Because you just came off of tour.
Yes.
What was the best cup of coffee you had?
Um, damn. On this last one, I have to look up what it was called. Pardon me. Once it was in St. Louis and it was pretty good. My friend recommended it to me because usually I don't I don't think I've ever been to a decent shop in St. Louis, but that's because I wasn't going out of my way to look for one.
Right.
Typically we like try to stop for coffee like every morning because I if I'm with Bleak, I'm the only one who has to work like every other morning, just like finishing like whatever deadline I have for whoever I'm designing for.
Right.
But with No Cure, I go out of my way to find a shop for us every morning, and we overnight every time because everybody except for Jake now works remote.
Ah,
And so, but like I've never had that problem in St. Louis because I think the last two times No Cure's played in St. Louis, we've had venue access as soon as we've gotten there. And
that's
so
crazy.
we just hang out over there. It was called, oh God, I'm looking at it right now. Living Room. It was called Living Room in St. Louis, and it was lovely. We pulled up and the line was out the door, which pissed
Hmm.
me off. But I mean, after that, like I was just grumpy.
It's a
I
good
was
sign, though.
It's a great sign. Yeah. It was super cool. It was like they did food. They had a really good food menu as well, but like the espresso was super good. I didn't like ask too much about it. I was just like, give me this. And I just sat down and started working and I housed that motherfucker within like maybe 20 minutes. So it's a good sign.
Did you have a particularly disappointing experience anywhere?
Oh, dude. So like I was saying, Kyle is from like the Christ core world, and so he's a little older. And he doesn't really, so he doesn't care
Okay.
when it comes to coffee and stuff. And so there's like been a couple nights where me or Blythe will forget to like send a recommendation, but he has like he has a full time like serious job, like he's on the clock and he has to stay clocked in type shit. And so he does not give a fuck where we go as long as there's Wi-Fi. And he's like a super like zany guy. And so like if you like look up some shops, he's not going to look up the reviews or anything. He's going to find the funniest name and take us there.
Okay.
And so like if there's like any so I couldn't even tell you a name, but it's uh like some silly fucking name. He'll take us there and then I'll wake up in the morning and I'll walk in and it's like they got like Hobby Lobby like espresso plaques on the wall that like it's in like the poison, it's gonna be bad when it got like the poison the well font on
Yeah, the
like
live, laugh, love
yeah
sign.
that
Yeah.
type of shit. He's like, this place is so fun, and I'm like, fuck you, bro. Oh no. So like I can't name any specific shops, but like we've been to a few.
It's called like Holy Grounds Coffee or
Holy,
some.
yeah, dude. If it has grounds, Java, uh, brew in the name, I'm like inclined to like stray away. And
Yeah. If
yeah,
there's any kind of like shiplap, like an overly amount of shiplap,
yeah,
like wood on the wall, like
yeah.
avoid.
I might be ignorant saying that, but I mean, I don't know. I go to plenty of good shops without those names. You know what I'm saying?
I fully agree. I have my band is blessed to have at least so two of us work in coffee. One guy is a espresso machine tech, and then
Oh, so he's like a nerd
he it's not like La
in a good way.
Marzocco.
Like that's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah,
but like
that's
he's not like fixing La Marzocco's. He's fixing like
okay.
Breville's and Rancilios that you take home. Like
Still
props.
beyond.
I know.
Yeah.
Props to him. I can't do that shit. And then the other guy is also a coffee person because he's from like Quebec, so he's French inclinations.
Okay. Sure.
Um, and then we have our older guy, similar to yours. He doesn't give a shit because he's gonna order a vanilla latte, a maple latte, and as long as it's sweet, he doesn't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah. Big seasonal guy.
Big seasonal guy, yeah. So it's like if it's like the marshmallow bullshit chocolate latte, he's like, give me that.
This
Um,
is today.
so we do not let him pick the coffee shops. He just happily follows, and then he looks at one of us and asks what to order when we get it.
What do I get? Yeah. Yeah. Kyle's usually the first one out of the van in the morning. And so I'll wake up. I'm usually the last one out of the van just because I don't know. I'm tired, man.
I feel you.
I'm tired, but he'll be sipping on something with a lot of milk.
Yeah.
What's up? Me too sometimes. Can't blame him.
So I got to be in the mood. I made a mistake though recently, so I may be less inclined to do that now. But based on one of my friends' recommendations, shout out Brandon from Pure Bliss. I asked him where
Yeah.
to go in Syracuse, and he was like, Recess. This is the shop, and I was like, all right, bet. Like, we'll go. They had a nice looking seasonal menu, and
Uh-huh.
it was the afternoon, so I was like, I'm gonna get something chill.
I think I've been to Recess.
They have a few locations, but there's like one that's in a neighborhood. It's like in a house kind of.
Okay, that sounds super familiar.
It honestly, they had cold brew, like nitro cold brew on tap. I should have followed my better, like I should have just gone that way.
Yeah.
It's hard to fuck that up.
Yeah, definitely.
But instead I got this other seasonal latte, and
What's the verdict?
it was, first of all, it was like $7 US, which to me
Okay.
is like $15 Canadian.
Sure.
And it was just mostly milk. The espresso was so
Yeah.
shit.
They're masking it.
It
Yeah.
was it was so bad.
It,
And
it might, I mean, yeah, I've been there.
and so I'm like, everybody's sitting around the table. They're like, oh, this is pretty good. And I'm like angrily sipping my fucking
Sipping milk.
$7 sweet milk.
Yeah.
What do you think, Grayson? Shut the fuck up.
Don't fucking talk to me.
I'm angry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hate when that shit happens.
I mean, I've been there.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Should just follow my instincts.
Yeah. I mean, dude, whenever you see a cold, I mean, I'm not like entirely a cold brew guy. Usually, I'm more of like, I usually get two things, and one of them's like an Americano.
Okay.
I I want to take it in. Well, I guess like I do love like just like a drip,
Yeah.
you know, especially if it's like this time of year and we're on tour. I love drip
Mm-hmm.
because it's cheap. I can usually get a refill, and I can really like sit down and like taste. Like that's the easiest way, you know?
As it cools, you get like the different levels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So I mean, between those two, like if I'm working or if I'm able to like sit down and like enjoy it, that's usually what I'm gonna get. Like if I don't have anything that I need to work on for the day,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm gonna get. But if I'm like able to slow sip and shit like that. But if I have to like work and I'm not really worried about like that, I'm getting like an iced oat milk with a little bit of honey, and that's it. And like usually then I can also still taste a little bit of
Yeah.
it. It's still good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like people underestimate the power of the espresso
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
and also what brand of oat milk they're using.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Have you ever had Starbucks oat milk?
No,
It's like farts, bro.
it probably is farts.
It's like fart water.
Ugh.
It's terrible. And whenever it's steamed, it's even worse.
We have a local brand here called Minor Figures,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Monomyth used minor figures.
Oh, I thought that is that not local? I thought that was just like a thing here.
I pretty sure it's like we used to get it all the time. It's the one with like the dude in the
The
bird
bird
costume.
costume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we use.
Oh shit. Why do I man? I gotta
That's
get
the
out.
best. That is the best shit.
It's the
Straight up.
creamiest.
Yes, it's perfect.
But the other shop that like I manage uses Oatly.
I've had Oatly. Yeah,
It's a runner up.
yeah.
But I minor figures is like the greatest oat milk ever made.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like more than half of the shops that I go to usually use either minor figures or Oatly.
I can't tell if it's from the UK. I can't figure this out. This is a waste of time. It's
It's good. It's good shit,
it's
man.
special.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, I can I if I go somewhere and it's like Pacific oat milk, it's
Yeah.
not good.
Mm.
Or Silk,
Ugh.
get that shit out of here.
Walmart shit out of here, bro.
Khalifa Farms, no.
Never heard of that one.
I don't know why. Like a lot of people love that one, and it's not. I found that it's so thin that I can't. It curdles immediately.
That's not for me.
No,
No.
but yeah, it's important. Ingredients are important.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um, how did you get into heavy music?
Um, I guess my dad. My dad was like super big into like the thrash
Oh,
shit, but I guess he grew up in Albuquerque and he like I guess he was a bouncer or I know that he used to bounce a little bit and then he also um apparently like drove while he was in college. Like I got like some Metallica shirts from like 90s, like maybe 94. Like I have one of the OG like Metallica crew
that's
shirt
nuts.
he got whenever he was driving uh those fools around, or maybe not them, but like people that were on their package, I believe. So like he grew up on like the thrash and a little bit of the punk stuff, like Suicidal Tendencies.
Hmm.
And I believe he is like he was friends with like Mike from Suicidal Tendencies, like brother or something. I could be completely wrong, but I vaguely remember a story about that. But Suicidal Tendencies is like my dad's favorite band. And so like that was like hardcore ish. Like
Yeah,
it was like leaning to it was punk or like whatever they wanted to call it back then. But like um yeah, like he showed me a lot of that when I was really, really young. And that's like all he would play in the car to like the point where like there were times whenever I thought like, dude, he'd blast it so hard that like I could feel it in my chest. I like vividly remember like listening to like Master of Puppets and shit and like it like hitting my like chest and I'm like, I'm gonna die in here. My dad doesn't even know. But like I wasn't deep into music like entirely yet. It probably wasn't until like Guitar Hero
hmm,
that like I was like, oh my God, music is the coolest fucking thing ever. And they had Suicidal Tendencies on Guitar Hero 2.
hmm.
And I was like, you know this band? He's like, oh, I know this band. And I was like, okay, sick. And so it was like Suicidal, Megadeth, Testament. Testament and Megadeth are probably two of the biggest ones for me. Straight up. Like they impacted me harder than any fucking band. And from there, like whenever I was maybe like 13 or 14, my friends started talking about hardcore. And like I had always like loosely knew about it because of like I knew Hatebreed was a hardcore band
Hmm.
and all this. And my friends were like, you should listen to I think it was like Rotting Out, like the first Rotting Out record. And I was like, this sounds like Suicidal Tendencies. So I'm gonna like this. And it was like it just like barreled into that. And then like the more like I became obsessed with like the older bands that my dad was into, I learned how like centric hardcore music was for them.
Hmm.
Like if you listen to like the Cliff interviews on like the deluxe Master of Puppets CDs and shit like that. Like he talks about like Cro-Mags and shit like that. And I was like, okay, write that down. That's cool. So yeah. I think a big part of it comes from my mom and my dad. My mom was also like pretty into it. My mom listens to everything now.
Mhm.
So she was familiar with a lot of that kind of stuff, along with my dad. But my dad was the one actively putting me on to like Pantera, Metallica, like the shit that your parents put you on to. And
Like
yeah.
dad metal.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so like it's still like Megadeth is like still to this day probably my favorite band, or Alice in Chains, but that's also a band that my dad showed me,
But
So,
like Dirt
oh, it's incredible.
metal album.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't consider Alice in Chains even like a dad rock band the way that like a lot of people do. Like I consider them that's a metal band. That's a
Uh
metal band that I was able to play in the shop, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. So the consensus, like, because I'm having this discussion with people recently, is Alice in Chains secretly a metal band? Because they get lumped in with the Seattle grunge.
I mean, yeah, sure. Like there's obvious grunge like influence.
Outside of Dirt, I think it's definitely more alternative leaning.
Yeah, Dirt is a metal album. I think Jerry Cantrell is a phenomenal songwriter. He's probably like my most like the most influential like writer to me
Mm-hmm.
between all of my bands. Um and if you listen to like the records after Lane died, dude, Black Gives Way to Blue is one of the heaviest records I've ever listened to in my life. It's
Okay.
not a grunge record. It's like borderline doom a little
Oh
bit.
shit.
Maybe I mean I might be like being dramatic with that, but like there are some tracks on there that you're like, Jesus Christ, this can't be. So
I'm gonna have to revisit it because actively in my band, one of our members is like Alice in Chains is a dad rock band, and then two of us are like, nah, there's metal riffs there, and so
sure.
we have this constant debate. So every single time we're in the van, them bones gets thrown on, and we're like,
Yeah. The usual suspects for sure.
we could
Yeah.
cover this, and it
Yo,
would be okay.
yeah. I think Them Bones was the first song Bleak ever covered whenever we like first started.
That's sick.
Yeah, I mean it's the easy one to learn, and it's like such a base layer for like what we were trying to like be at that time. So
That riff, that just that
oh
chromatic walk up is like, it's one of the best.
yeah, that's a great band.
Yeah.
I personally think I think their discography. Let me start by saying I think their discography is perfect.
Okay.
I don't think they've ever put out a bad record, like from beginning to like their most recent. I think they're phenomenal, and every record is so centered and so focused. It's just like so perfectly curated. Um, that being said, the stuff with Lane, I feel like he made sure. I think Lane is what made them like stay so grunge at the time,
Mm-hmm.
because he was also like a phenomenal songwriter himself. And those songs are amazing, absolutely. But like after he passed away, like I feel like it just opened up the doors for Jerry to write some of like it really like it was his chance to prove how heavy of a songwriter he could be.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you have you ever listened to like his solo stuff?
No, I gotta get
It
there.
sounds like Alice in Chains, but it's like it's so cool, man. He's so great. He's the
I've
goat.
I've always like tried to figure out why his signature guitar is a G&L. I do not understand.
See, okay, so when we get to that, like I don't know shit about any of that straight
Okay.
up. Yeah. I don't know anything guitar. Like you could tell me, you could say the most crazy shit and I'd be like, I agree, man. Yeah, sure.
So are you just drums?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I am only versed in that. I've written a couple demos and like, but like after demos are written, I show them to my guys and they're like, oh, you should play it like this. I'm like, yeah, that's what I meant.
You're gonna go ahead and play it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So how did you why drums?
Um, I don't know. It just like felt the easiest to me, to be honest. Like I looked at a stringed instrument and it's like completely foreign to me, even still. Like they'll try to like show me like chords and stuff. And I'm like, dude, how do you move your fingers that fast, like individually? It's never computed with me. No matter I've tried to learn guitar maybe like 4 or 5 times now. And like I can get like basic chords, but going up and down like a fretboard, no. No. And so like Guitar Hero was like the opening, like I learned my sense of rhythm through those games, I think.
Okay.
And I fell in love with like as soon as I learned how to play a 4 on the floor beat because of like Eye of the Tiger or some shit on Guitar Hero, I was like, whoa, this like opens up like 50% of rock music to me, you know? And so yeah, every time we go to the music store, I wouldn't want to pick up a guitar. I'd want to like get on the display kit and ruin it.
That was their favorite.
Oh, dude, the kit they had at the store here, it sounded so good. So I just wanted to fuck around on that forever. Gratefully, like the owners of that shop, I would be annoying them for sure. But if I didn't have that, like, I knew looking back on it now, I knew that I was annoying because I didn't have a kit when I started. So like my only time that I could go fuck around being a young kid was at the music store on this display kit. And they were so like annoyed, but also they were like, I think they recognized that like I was super passionate about this at a young age. And so they were like, hey, dude, you can keep going. Just like keep it down while other people are in the shop. And as soon as they leave, like do whatever you want. And like if I didn't have that sort of like positive like feedback immediately, or not feedback, but like positive like reinforcement immediately, like who knows what I would have been doing straight up. So yeah, it just came naturally to me, I guess. More than guitar.
Yeah. Do you remember like your first kit?
Yeah. Yeah, I bought it for $70 off of one of my like closest friends. Her brother had a kit and he just never used it. We went to their house like every other week whenever I was in school and I saw it like packed up on a shelf. I was like, whoa, you have a kit? And he was like, yeah, I don't use it though. And one day my parents were like, okay, he needs to like, we're going to buy him a kit because like, this is obvious that he wants to do this. And I think it was like $60 or $70 that I bought that kit off of him. And it was a piece of shit, man. It was like a beginner kit. It was like a CMC, which it's different than CNC.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know anything about like changing heads. The beater was literally like gone off of the rod. And so it was just a rod, like this pencil, like it was just that. And I didn't know that like beaters existed. And so I was just smacking this fucking rod into this horribly tuned no pillow inside kick drum. It was like boom, boom, like every time. I probably tore through that head like immediately, but I didn't know heads existed. And so I was just like, I'll duct tape that shit up.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I played for maybe like 2 years before I had a teacher that was like, you can change heads. I was like, what? No way.
Yeah,
So
you should change heads.
you should change heads. And so, yeah, I was probably like 10 or 11 at that time. So, yeah, but I do remember that kit. I have one drum from it still, just because I got rid of the whole thing. I got rid of most of it. I couldn't get rid of at least one thing just to have. And so I have one drum from my original kit still. It's just in a closet.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You
Cool.
got to convert it to like a lamp or like a table or something.
Dude, my mom was big on arts and crafts shit. And at one point she was like, we're going to do this. And I was like, okay. And it's still just been sitting
It's
in the
just a
closet.
drum. It's just a
Got
drum.
busy. We got everybody in my family's busy. So
For a long time, I had my original floor tom. I converted it to like a nightstand,
nice. Yeah. That's actually sick.
but it
That's
was
super.
like I just used the drum head. It was just like the floor tom.
Just put shit on the
Yeah,
head.
yeah.
Nice.
I
That's what's
thinking about it, I probably could have just put like a dampening thing right underneath the head to not make
and
it
more
sound.
sturdy. Yeah.
But it was like I had gotten like I went to a music camp and had. Do you remember that Christian contemporary guy Toby Mac?
Yeah.
Um, it was
Definitely.
like this Christian music camp in Nashville I went to in middle school and won like this signed drum head
Oh, sick.
from
Did you put
like
that on there?
yeah, that was what was on there.
Nice. Awesome.
But the best part of that was like I got to play that drummer's drum kit and it was like this Spawn, like he was sponsored by Spawn at the time.
I loosely remember that.
They're like
Yeah,
I don't even think they're around anymore.
sure.
But I got to play on his kit and it sounded like what every Keller Shell custom drum kit manufacturing place sounds like.
Yep. 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 I
Shout
know.
out SJC.
Yeah. I know the sound. That's awesome.
Um, yeah, that's I like I wish I still had it. I've moved so many times that it's gone now. But
Just got lost in it.
yeah, like my parents moved around and stuff too, so I'm not lucky like you.
Sure. I was super careful whenever it came to moving that shit around. So now it's in a closet in one of the rooms down here.
It'll be worth money one day. Is that what you
Maybe. I didn't think about that, but it could be.
when that wood dries out, man,
Oh,
it'll
it's over.
it'll sound great.
It's over for you hoes.
Um, so how does it work? Because No Cure is from Birmingham and you
Yeah.
live in very West Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah. Originally I was driving a lot, which hurt because it's like a
Yeah.
18 hour drive. Um, the way it honestly works is we don't do anything unless it is beneficial to all of us, which means if I'm going up there, I'm going to be there for more than a week.
Mhm.
So if it's like a one-off show, I'm down to do it, but we got to like make it worth our time financially or time-wise, like if I'm going to go up for one show, we should record a new record or we should play more shows around this or we should film a video. And so every time that like we meet up, we're doing more than just one thing. And that's how it's been since we started. And I think that is why things have happened as fast as they have, in my personal opinion, is because every time we meet up, which is at least once a month, we're doing something or we're doing multiple things, and that has always just been enough for me to like make it make sense. And now we're at a point where like we can get flights and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but when I'm gone for work, it's not work, but I'm doing what I love. Like I'm super grateful for it,
Yeah. That's what
but
like because were you like when they started, you were in the band.
yeah, yeah. But I was doing No Cure was an internet band when we
Right.
started. It was a pandemic project.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Blythe and Aesop wanted to start a band. I helped Blythe with one of his bands before, and I was, for the shortest time ever, I had joined his last band officially, and we recorded an entire record, and then shit fell through with members, and we just had all this music that's still just sitting in a folder. Blythe was like, I'm starting like a side project while we like figure this shit out. Do you want to do drums for it? And I was like, yeah, send me demos for it. And I recorded 2 demos and I sent them over, and they were like, this is perfect. And then like from there, it was Blythe like, hey, I think we want to meet up and like record a lot of songs. Do you want to like come out to this cabin? And I had been out to the cabin to hang out like once or twice during the pandemic, just because I didn't have a job at that time. My job was like, they sent me home. So I was just sitting on my ass, not doing anything.
Right.
So I was like, I'll drive 20 hours to come hang out for a week. And that's literally what happened. And that's how our first record was made, pretty much.
Because that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. About 2 years ago now.
So like the growth that y'all have had is insane.
Yes, I will not deny that. It is very crazy to me. It's not natural at all.
No. Like I like looking at it, because I remember when the first record came out, and I feel like I saw it everywhere. And I'm like, man, No Cure's only been around for 2 years, but like I fucking have seen them on everything. And then you look at the followers, it's like 23,500 followers.
In 2 years is crazy.
It's nuts.
I don't know. I don't understand. I'm super stoked.
Well, you get to tour full time now, so that's
it's super cool, man. I'm in a very fortunate position for sure.
Yeah. So I'm very happy for you guys, because like anytime a band that like really does work hard and sounds great, like I feel like it's not a lot that you get to see. You see them like reaping the benefit of that so quickly.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm happy for you guys, and y'all have a new record coming out.
Yeah, so, yeah. Next month. Gun in my head, I don't remember the day that it comes out, but
it's December 6th. I just looked at it.
It is. Okay, I was like, is it 6th or 8th? Shit.
It's called, I Hope I Die Here.
Yes.
Y'all released a new single like recently.
Yep.
It's very sick.
Thank you.
Do y'all do everything in-house?
Up to this point. So the first record was done at the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
The second, and it was mixed by me and my friend Wavy, who plays bass in the other band I'm in. And since that, he's become a phenomenal like engineer and producer. He's so good at what he does now. But like that record sounds the way it does because it was me and him just like troubleshooting and just trying our fucking hardest.
That's what gives it character. And I think that's I can like part of me, because I also do like engineering, and part of me is like, this does sound very demo core, but like done well.
We tried our best to make it not sound like that, but it still does,
But it's great. Like
thank you. Appreciate that.
That's like a very signature thing.
It's very raw. It's very real. Yeah. And then our friend Connor mixed and mastered Cursed. And we did Cursed at Aesop's house in her basement. But we sent it to him to mix and master. And then Commitment was done with our friend Kevin at his studio, which is like a converted garage. And then we sent it to Connor to mix and master again. And then this time, the whole record is very like Alabama centric. Everything about it is like being from like a small, maybe not even Alabama, but like just being from a small, like I resonate with the songs not being from Alabama because it's about being from a small town where like there's so many like people look at you a certain way and they view you from being like from the South and being like, you guys don't have what we have, but we have what you have, And like that's like the whole mentality that like came in with this record. And so in doing that, we brought Kevin to the cabin and we recorded everything there, and he mixed and mastered it. So it's like made in Alabama by a dude from Alabama who's been in it for a while, and it sounds the way it does. It's probably my favorite thing we've done so far.
Yeah, the single, I'm spacing on the title, but it's
Don't
wild.
need your help.
Sorry?
Don't need your help.
Yes, that's sorry.
Titles are new for me too, to be honest, because like all the demos were completely different, and it was just like pushed so fast. So, yeah.
But it sounds elevated, sounds still like that same No Cure character, but like, it's there. It's so good.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Are y'all going to keep touring a lot?
Yeah. Next year is fucked, man.
How are you in 2 other bands? Like, I don't understand.
Dude, I mean, Emaciated is very much like just a for fun band. Like we're all in other bands. And so there's no pressure whenever it comes to like, hey, I'm home. Do you guys want to do some shows? Sure. I'm home. Let's go do some shows. And so like that's how that one is. And it's like me and Wavy, who's like me and him have been in so many bands together since high school. He's like the guy that I write everything with, probably. And so it just comes natural to write with him, like whatever we want to. And the same goes with Bleak, except I put as much work as I can into that band as well. And I tour with them whenever I can. They still try to tour with a fill-in. And if something comes up while I'm with No Cure and they're like, should we do this? I'm like, yeah, you should absolutely do that, Yeah. So that's pretty much how it works.
That makes sense.
It's a little stressful sometimes, but like, I mean, you got to throw shit at the wall till it sticks,
I know, like it sucks like having to play with fill-ins for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then you don't want to have FOMO when like your band is also doing something else that you like are passionate about. But,
yeah.
I mean, at least your full-time job is playing music. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm super stoked on it.
Yeah. Well, Duncan, Dewey.
Yes.
Every time I say Dewey, I think Dewey Finn.
I get that.
Yeah.
That's the one that I get the most, which is a great comparison. I fuck with that.
Yeah. Isn't that that's the Walk Hard movie?
No, that's Dewey Finn is School of Rock.
That's right. Okay. I was like, I feel like it's a Jack Black, but I can't remember if it's that or
Dewey Cox.
Dewey Cox. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed yapping.
Dude, same, man.
I really hope that the new album, everything drops well. You guys are grinding. So I put the respect on it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Oh, the benefit show for Brandon.
Yeah, it's actually next year. It's at the beginning of January.
I really hope that goes well, because I mean, honestly, so heartbreaking and really, really like, I know it's difficult for that scene, and those dudes in Meadows are like, I've known them for a very long time, and they're really, really sweethearts. So
they are, absolutely.
I hope that everything with that goes well.
Same. I think it's going to be awesome. He was a very important guy to a lot of the people in my band.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we got the offer, I was like, yeah, absolutely. We're going to make this work. So I'm super stoked on it. I think people are stoked on it. So,
yeah, I mean, really unfortunate circumstances, and the situation obviously is like I said, heartbreaking, but like the scene coming together and putting on a benefit and, kind of honoring his legacy I think that's really, really important.
Oh, it's going to be sick.
So
it's going to be a time for sure.
Yeah. Well, Duncan, I have one last question for you before we hop off.
Yes, chef.
What is your favorite city for beans and breakdowns?
Damn. For breakdowns, I have to put respect on the city that like took my first bands in, and that's Dallas, or for DFW specifically. So many great bands from there, from like every side of the spectrum.
Oh yeah.
Never going to be a bad band from that area. Um, and it's also just where I grew up starting to like play bigger shows, like being from Lubbock. It's kind of a small town, very DIY, or you have to do pay to plays, which is fine. But
that still exists. Come on.
It did. It did. But Dallas is where like I started to like grow and like find my love for like DIY music. And I have so many friends to thank for that. So countless good bands. So Dallas, DFW, Dallas Fort Worth is my go-to for breakdowns. Beans, man, I don't know. There's so many good spots. I will say, I think my favorite spot right now is a place called June in Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
It's by far one of the best shops I've ever been to in my life.
I'm familiar.
Yeah. Go-to spot every time I land in Birmingham.
I haven't been because it's newer.
Yeah.
When I was there, the spot was Octane, rest in peace.
Yeah.
And then Revelator, but fuck Revelator.
Yeah, fuck Revelator for sure. I had some friends that worked there.
Yeah, they bought out Octane and then like basically like harpooned it.
Yeah. That used to be the spot before June like started becoming more of a thing. And now that's just, I think No Cure has collectively spent over like maybe like $5,000 at June. That might be dramatic, but
no, I think know. Even Stone was telling me that June's the spot. I think that he's the one that was like June. Yeah. So yeah, shout out DFW bands. Shout out Birmingham. Birmingham coffee's always been good. So
yeah, there's a lot of people who give a shit out there.
Yeah. That's my break into specialty coffee was in Birmingham. So special place in my heart as well.
Oh, okay, sick. That's what's up.
I'm in college, Octane, first pour over.
Yeah. That's when it happens.
That's when you get that first pour over, it's game over.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whenever you stop drinking mochas like a schmuck.
Yeah. You become this new artsy fartsy fucker. You're like, oh, I know everything.
What is this craft beer? Oh, yeah, it all happens. If you're not still straight edge, that's what happens.
It's just the rabbit hole you go down.
Start drinking triple IPAs and single origin coffees.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, really good.
Yeah, it's all really good. I mean, I respect the Edge brothers for sure, but that ship sailed for me a while back. So I do enjoy a nice craft beer. And Birmingham has no shortage. So
I've heard.
People sleep on the ham. I'm telling you.
I'm saying, man, it's cool. Got a lot of exciting shit.
A lot of good shows. The Firehouse, The Forge.
Yeah. I used
to go to shows at The Forge.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Duncan, thanks so much for hanging out.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you. This was fun.
Till next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Beans and Breakdowns. I want to say a huge thanks to Duncan for hanging out on the podcast. Be sure to keep an eye out for I Hope I Die Here, the newest LP from No Cure, dropping December 6th. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. You can find out more information about the podcast by following us on Instagram at Beans and Breakdowns or on the web at beansandbreakdowns.com. Until next week, be sure to stay caffeinated and wake the fuck up.